Is that a breakup?
I think we have a situation right here.
On the Feeling Station.
Hello.
Hey, what's happening?
Fine. How are you?
Not too bad, and how are you?
I'm good.
Now, before we get too far, I need to tell you that you are live on the lockdown edition of the Feeling Station, so please do not say your name, okay?
Okay.
Now, we're going to do this a different way. I normally need to have a piece of paper in my hand that's got a name that I've given you, and you would normally pick a name that you would call the guy that you're going to talk about today. But because we are in a different situation, this whole COVID thing has made things very, very different.
Very difficult.
So you get the opportunity of telling me what name you want me to call you by. What should I call you?
Oh my God. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
You don't know? Come on.
I don't know.
Think of a name.
Give me a name.
Absolutely.
Give me a name.
Oh, I should give you a name? Right. I'm gonna call you Fiona, only because that's the first one that's come to my mind and I don't know why.
Okay.
So
I'll take that.
All right. Now you need to think of a name that you want to give the guy that you're going to talk about today. And you can't ask me to do that because I am not taking that responsibility. It is yours. What do you want to call him?
Oh my God. Let me think.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay, that's on the spot. Let's make it an easy name.
Yeah.
Joe.
Joe?
That's easy. Yeah.
As in J-O-E?
That's easy. J-O-E, J-O, whichever way.
And now this is quite strange because the first lockdown episode that I did, she decided to call him Joseph. And now you just called him Joe. I'm starting to think that this Joseph thing might want to think twice about calling a child Joe or Joseph now because, hey, the stories coming out of these are a bit funny.
Well, something about Joe's then.
Oh, yeah. So thank you. Thank you for making time to tell me the story. You responded to a poll that I put out on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And you said, oh, yeah, I've got an interesting story. And I'm like, you know what? I will capitalize on this. I'll take this opportunity and I'll give you the chance to talk about this.
Right.
And now for people who are listening to this podcast for the first time, the podcast touches on breakup stories that people want to talk about. Some of the stories are quite dramatic. Some are entertaining. Some are sad. But the most important thing is that whoever is going to listen to your episode, Fiona, is going to learn a lesson from your breakup experience. So what is it that you would like people to learn from your breakup experience? It could be one lesson. It could be more lessons. What would you like them to learn?
Not sure if people pick up a lot of lessons from the story, but one main lesson I would say is if you ever hear a guy or a girl, should we say, saying, "I'd like to keep this relationship private."
Okay.
Then that's red flags already.
Really?
Kind of do some digging on why it is meant to be kept private.
Okay.
I think, yeah. Why would you want to keep a relationship private?
Okay, so we're going to dig into that a little bit. So I'm just reiterating the lesson that listeners are going to learn from this is that if anybody says to you that a relationship is private, that's a red flag. Ask questions, and if it's not good enough, get out of there. Is that correct?
That's it. That's right. Yeah.
So let's go straight into it. Tell me where you and Joe met. Where does your story begin?
It's a church story. So I belong. Should I say I belong or I belonged to this church?
Okay.
It was like a very big church in London.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the story starts.
Okay, so the story starts at church. That should be a good foundation because everything is going to be cemented in Christ, right?
Yeah. So I used to go to this church, and I was a member of the church for a very long time. That I actually worked in church.
So when you say very long time, how long were you in this church for? How long is a very long time?
I'd say I'd have been a member of the church for about 5 years.
Okay.
By the time that I met Joe.
Yeah. That's good enough for time, yeah.
Yeah. So having been in church for 5 years, you kind of get to church and you'll be looking for a guy who knows God, a guy who comes to church, a guy who prays.
Yeah.
And there was Joe
Okay.
among us, all other guys in church.
Mm-hmm.
So the interesting part is Joe also worked in church.
Okay.
So he sort of like featured in so many departments in church. He was pastor's right-hand man.
Oh,
You know,
really?
he was
Okay.
pastor's armor bearer.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he featured in so many departments. Like he would come and see how things are going and dila. So I
Mm-hmm.
was in one of the departments.
Mm-hmm.
So being in one of the departments, then we got talking one day, and then we swapped numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So we started, texting and calling each other, just as friends to begin with, until he then asked me out.
Wow. Just whilst you're on that point, the previous episodes I've done, there hasn't been a single guy who's asked out a girl. So this guy is already very different. Well done, Joe.
Yeah. So he asked me out.
Well done.
So talking about Joe, the kind of person that he was, he was this guy. So like I said, he was pastor's armor bearer. He was he's featured in so many departments in church. He was good looking. He used to dress very well. The James Bond kind of dressing, like 3-piece suit, all smart, sharp all the time.
Hello, Joe. Uh-huh.
Yeah, he dressed very well.
Uh-huh.
He drove a very nice car. He had a good job. And if we ever had like guest speakers at church, he would be the one who was trusted with keys to go and pick up these guests and, drive them around.
Wow.
So he was like every girl's dream guy, actually. If I may put it that way, like so many girls in church had eyes on him, like, ooh, that guy. So I'd say I was really lucky.
Just whilst you're on that, if he was so good looking with so many good things happening, and then he decided to ask you out, you must have felt very special.
I felt like, oh my God, God has literally, God has answered my prayers. This is the kind of man I've been praying for. And he ticked literally every box. And so to me, it was an answered prayer, and I felt lucky as well at the very same time, which is why when he then decided to say we needed to keep this relationship private, I believed him, like every single thing that he said, I kind of believed him. So he was like, you don't need to tell people that we're dating because people will be jealous of you, people will hate on you, people will, won't like you. And because of the kind of guy he was, I felt like, yeah, right. People would really hate me because everybody wants him, So I kind of like believed him on that. And blinded by love, I just like, yeah, cool, let's not tell anybody. So we dated for like a very good year. And then by then, I felt like I really knew him and he now knows me. And then I suggested like, okay, how about we start telling our friends that we are dating? And he was like, no. I don't want you to tell anybody. Like I said, people will hate you. I want you to find out, about me for you have to do your own research about me. You have to know me for yourself. Then let people tell you stuff about me. And I don't want your friends to tell me stuff about you. I want to find out for myself kind of like a little bit more. So I was like, okay.
So tell me one thing. I mean, when a relationship is fresh and it's new, you've got this warm, bubbly feeling inside that is difficult to keep to yourself. You just want to tell someone, even your best friend.
Yeah.
So does that mean to say you couldn't tell even your best friend?
For me, well, even though he had said not to tell anybody, I had friends that I knew from work who didn't come to the church, who didn't know him. So I kind of knew like chances of them ever meeting or chances of these friends ever leaking this fact that I was going out with him, were zero.
Yeah.
So I had friends from work. He didn't know that I was telling these friends from outside. But those were the kind of friends that I was like talking to, like, oh my God, I'm in love, I'm dating this guy, and we've done this, and then da. But I couldn't tell the circles that we we knew from church. I couldn't tell, people. Okay, I couldn't tell people from church, or like my relatives, because my relatives came to the church, or his relatives came to the church. He was
Right.
like, we'll wait for the right time. So yeah, I had
Right.
friends that I used to actually tell that I was dating this guy. But then going down the line, I also had like, 3 friends that I then ended up telling again from church that I knew would not leak it, because, like you said, it's really difficult to keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had 3 extra friends that I told.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he started after a year of dating, like Christian dating, like being, good girls and good boys, we don't do nothing. I then said to him, okay, if we can't tell.
Sorry, I've got to ask. So you say being Christian good boy, Christian good girl. What does that mean? Does that mean you guys didn't kiss, or it just means that you guys didn't have sex?
If we kissed, it was kind of like stealing kisses away from everybody else. But we never, that kind of stealing kisses and all that.
Okay.
I mean, you can never say never. I dare anybody, no matter how much deep of a Christian they are, to say they never hold hands or kiss, or, yeah, we would do that, but we as Christians, we believe in like no sex before marriage.
Okay,
so that's why I said the good girls and the good boy kind of dating.
Right, gotcha.
Yeah. So we dated, and then I said to Joe, if we can't tell our friends, okay, let's start by, seeing your pastor's right-hand man. Let's go and submit our relationship to the pastors.
To the pastor, yeah.
Or to the church elders.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was like, that's a very good idea. But, me, I work with pastors, so I kind of know pastor's diary. I will talk to him.
Okay.
So I thought, okay, he's going to talk to pastor. So I then said, couple of weeks or so, like, how far? And then he said, as you can see, like, this church is like a really big, like, probably way over 700, 800 church members.
Yeah.
We used to hold like 2 or 3 services a Sunday just to make sure that everybody kind of gets, a service that they attend.
Yeah.
So he was like, as you can see how big the congregation is, so we've been put on a waiting list. So we've got about 5 to 6 months before it's our turn to see the pastor.
Whoa!
So I was like, okay.
Wow.
I believe you. I really believed. I never had any reasons to doubt that it was like, after all, he's a Christian.
Yeah.
And he's my man, so he's got my best interests at heart. So if pastor says 6 months,
then it's going to be 6
then
months.
we're going to join the queue. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's 6 months. So we kind of waited, I think, 3-4 months. And still, I don't know, like at that moment, I never even had like kind of have any red flags or doubted him. So, but then what started troubling me was now, okay, we are on the waiting list to see the pastors. We can't even tell his, siblings that we are dating. We can't even tell my family that we are dating.
Mm-hmm.
Part of me says, something is going on, and then part of me says, no, but he's right, let's do things his way.
So I have to tap into that a little bit. Your inner sense, your sixth sense was telling you something is not right. Now, what was this triggered by?
Kind of like, like, as you said as well, like, did you not have any people that you wanted to tell?
Yeah.
I wanted to tell people that I was in a relationship. People be asking you, like, when are you getting married? Are you dating? You know how our aunties do things.
Mm-hmm.
Are you dating? Are you seeing anyone? I wanted to say that, and then I couldn't say that.
Mm-hmm.
Like once I was seen in his car, and I was just like, he just gave me a lift because he saw me walking. But I had my own car, and people were questioning me, like, but where was your car? And you're thinking, no,
wow.
It was just like, you're trying to cover up, but, that kind of thing. That's when, things started coming up to me, like, why can't we actually tell people that we are dating?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we carried on like that for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it came out, it was like one Sunday as I was approaching the church premises, I didn't drive that Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I went to church by train.
Okay.
Because then we were going to have like a meal with some friends after church.
Yeah.
And then, so one Sunday I saw the pastors, like walking in church premises, and I'm walking in, and then, like, good morning, and they know me now because I work in church.
Yeah.
So they actually greeted me by my name. Hi, Fiona, how are things?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, I was talking to you pastors.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was like these people that are being portrayed as scary and you have to book an appointment are actually greeting me and talking to me.
Yeah.
So there's pastors of that big congregation. It was very rare to actually have a moment with them to talk to them. They were ever so busy.
Mm-hmm.
They would run through services. That's like loads of people coming in and out of church. So I'm thinking, I've got an opportunity. So how are things? So they actually took time to talk to me, like a few minutes,
Yeah.
to say, how have you been? How's your week been? And then I just said, so I pretended to be daft. I was like, so Pastor, if I needed to see you, what's the church protocol? Like,
Yeah.
what should we do? And then he was like, oh yeah, just email the church during the week, like whichever Sunday you want to see me, email the church. And I was like, just like that. So, we see, so at that moment, we're being seen by people, me talking to the pastor. And Dida had his friends. I don't know if the friends rang him to say they have seen me talking to the pastors or what happened to that Sunday. So anyway, a little bit, taking you back a little bit. One of the friends that I had told in church that I was dating this guy,
Yeah.
was going to uni. So when she graduated, she got a job in another town away from the town that we lived together.
Mm-hmm.
When she got a job in this town, the next town to where we lived, she started working with another woman in there who then said, they became friends, and then they were talking and says, oh, so you go to this church? And the girl was like, yeah, I go to this church. And then he says, oh, do you know Joe?
Mm-hmm.
And then she said, yeah, I know George. He's like a well-known person in church. And he's like, yeah, apparently Joe is dating my sister, and my sister is pregnant. And the girl was like, what? She goes, yeah. So, we've been trying to get Joe to do the right thing, but he's like refusing, he doesn't want to know.
Whoa.
And the girl was like, now she's bending to tell me. So then the girl, those days we didn't have WhatsApp, so it was a matter of, I top up my mobile phone, I beep you if you don't have credit, so then you don't call me back, and then we kind of text each other like, I'll see you on Sunday, I can't wait to see you kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, okay. So she comes to church, but then she didn't get to church on time. So by then I'm looking and I'm thinking, that's a little bit strange. Joe is normally here by this time, but I didn't know what was going on. So him not being in church, apparently, it was also because then he knew that the sister and the sisters, the girl that she had impregnated, and the sister had actually told him to say, we are coming to your church, we need to speak to your pastor and tell your pastor, like threaten him. So that's why he hadn't turned up in church.
Okay.
And I don't know nothing at that point.
He's okay.
So what made it worse as well is then people in church are like, dude, where you at? And then, we've seen Fiona speaking to the pastors. And then he then thought, oh my God, so now I've got like two things going on at the same time. So dude actually switched off his phone completely.
Oh my God.
And he didn't turn up to church.
Okay.
So the guests came to church, the guest being the girl that he had made pregnant, and the sister came to church. We were all in the service. At that point, I still know nothing. So church finishes, my friend then comes over to me and says, oh, do you see that woman over there? Yeah. And that woman over there? Yeah. Because they're sisters. I work with that one. I was like, okay. And then she goes, oh, I've been burning to tell you this since Friday, but I didn't have money to actually call you and tell you this. But apparently they are here to see the pastors. And I said, oh, okay. And then she said, because apparently Joe made that girl pregnant. Now you can imagine how horrified I was at that point. Like, what are you talking about? And so me, like I said, I wasn't in church, so I'm observing things to see if, they are actually going to talk to the pastors. And lo and behold, they did. They went and they sat down with the pastors.
And you were watching all of this happen.
And I'm watching from afar, like I'm just circling the offices because I really want to know what's going on. And the girl comes out there. Whatever they talked about, they were in there for a very long time. Whatever they talked about, the girl came out, and you could tell she was crying.
Oh my God.
And so I went to my friend and I was like, okay, is there any way that you can hook me up with that girl and the sister so I can talk to them?
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, we'll do that. So now church finishes, we go home. I'm trying to get a hold of Joe. Like, what's happening? He's not picking up his phone. His phone is off. I couldn't even go for the meal that I was meant to go, to that evening, because now I was in a state. So I had to tell my friends, like, look, guys, I was dating this guy, and this is what actually happened in church today. And then actually one of my friends were like, you were dating and you never told us? I was like, yeah, but we actually thought he was so-and-so's boyfriend. Now I'm even finding out another person. And
someone else.
No,
so someone else who's not the pregnant girl.
Well, now in church. Not someone else. Not someone else who's pregnant, but someone else that he was dating in church as well.
In the same church.
Two girls in the same church.
Wow.
And then another girl pregnant from outside. So I went to So I went to the girl in church and I was like, girl, I hear you're dating so and so. And she was like, yeah, so? And who are you? And I'm like, oh, I was actually dating him too. Because for me now, like he had already, started promising me marriage and, like, I like you. Because at some point I'd asked him, why me out of this whole church?
Yeah.
And he had given me reasons like, we come from the same country, we understand zebras marry zebras kind of thing. So I'm like, yeah, cool. So, so I couldn't get a hold of him all day, all night, into Monday.
Wow.
Still can't get a hold of him. And then Monday evening, I sort of rang, and then his phone was actually answered by another girl from his work, but then the girl answered saying, Joe's secretary, how can I help you, on his mobile phone. I'm like, cool, is there?
This guy's a wizard. Okay, go on.
And then she said, yeah, he's here, but he's busy. But then, what actually then happened though, even though I drove, I had never been to his house, so I really didn't know where exactly he lived. We didn't have sat-navs. It was difficult to just navigate and drive to go there.
So are you saying that the whole time that you guys dated, you never, ever, ever went to his house?
Yeah, because he lived with his family. Remember, we're not supposed to tell people that we're dating.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, makes
sense.
So
I couldn't go to his house. But he would come and pick me up, like in my area or at work or wherever, and we would go, like if we go out, we would go places. We would never eat locally or be seen locally kind of thing. You'd be like, I'm going to show you England. And I really wanted to know England. So dude would drive me places. So I'd never been to his house because we were, not meant to tell people that we're dating. So anyway, and also we didn't have Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really difficult to sort of so I actually went days without speaking to him. But then my other friend, the one who knew about the pregnant girl before me, then was like, okay, I can get you to speak to this girl. And I was like, fine. So we arranged to meet with the girl, and we actually met over, like a meal. So I'm saying to the girl, okay, so you're pregnant. I am his girlfriend. And, so was she as well. She was the girlfriend as well. So she said to me, okay, how about we become friends? And then we kind of find a way of getting back to him and actually putting him in a corner. And I was like, at first I thought it was a good idea. So I was like, yeah. But then in the end, I was like, no, but we can't because then you are pregnant.
Yeah.
This is going to be your baby daddy. So you're going to be connected, whatever happens. So we can't be friends because then it will always remind me of my wasted time.
Yeah.
That pregnant girl in the end was the one who actually told me that Joe shipped and is on his way to Zimbabwe.
What?
So the pregnant girl is a single mom, is a single mom now here by herself. Joe,
What?
but because they were constantly talking about because she's pregnant, so he was more in touch with the pregnant girl more than me. So it was
hold
through
up
the
a second.
pregnant girl. Yeah.
So did you run away from all of this?
To this day, it's like a mystery. I don't know if he was running away from all this mess or if it was something that he had already planned before all this happened. Because dude is definitely not in this country. And by, as time also goes on, when you get to, I got to know the family and be talking to the family like, we were dating and then they were like, yo, wish you had said it earlier because, he's actually now in Zimbabwe. He's married. I actually saw his wedding pictures and actually see it.
Oh, this guy's a whirlwind. So now he's married in Zimbabwe to someone completely different who's not
not
a pregnant woman, who's
not the baby
you,
mama in this country,
not
the other girl in the church, but completely different.
Wow.
So it's someone completely different. So it was actually through the baby mama that I got to know that Joe had shipped and Joe had relocated to Zimbabwe.
So does this mean that you never actually saw Joe apart from the last time you had that conversation?
Yeah, I never saw him ever again after that. The last conversation I had with him was like, I'd say maybe, I don't know if it was a Friday or the Saturday to say, okay, I'll see you in church on Sunday.
Oh, yes,
kind of
of course.
thing.
Yeah,
that kind of thing. And that was it. And after that, never had, like kind of closure or explanation of why things happened the way they did. Never heard from him ever again after that to this day.
Wow.
But yeah, I got to see his wedding pictures. I got to see pictures of his new family, and he seems to be doing well and happy wherever he is. But he just jumped ship and left us hanging here in England. So yeah.
So I need to ask you this question. Given that he didn't give you any closure at all, how do you feel about him today?
Today I'd say I've moved on. I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay. But if I have to tell the truth, like, since then, because it's someone who just, like, cut off all the ties just like that without an explanation. That was the biggest heartbreak I've ever had in my life. I had breakouts on my face. I was stressed. I couldn't sleep. Like, I'd be asking God, like, why me? Yeah. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I had breakouts. I suffered. I think it took me like even like a good couple of years before I actually got over him. Yeah. Oh, funny part about it as well is like, for me to be convinced that this guy had good intentions for me, we actually opened a joint account.
Oh, no.
No, he didn't. Don't worry. He didn't run away with the money. He left all the money. So I had to spend the money.
I was just about to panic there for a second. Say no. Okay.
Yeah, because we were talking about one day we'd get married. So, don't tell people yet, but, I want you to get ready for this day. So it was like, whatever you put in the account, I'll put double. So if I put £5, dude would put £10. If I put £10, dude would put £20.
Wow.
So, but when he went away, he just left it. So it was to my advantage. That's a little bit of consolation that I had.
Yeah.
I had money, but but he just left me like that. So to me, it wasn't more about the money. It was pretty much more like, right, now what?
Just last week's episode was about a situation where there was no closure.
Yeah.
For the person who was involved. And it feels as if you didn't have closure yourself now.
I didn't.
If you were to bump into Joe today, what would you ask him?
That's why. That's the one question I have. Why?
So you still want to know why? Not that you want to be with him, you just want to know why.
I just want to know why.
What would that do for you?
I don't know whether it would do anything. Like I said, I have healed. I have like moved on, but I would still just want to know like why things happened that way.
Yeah.
if I could just have an explanation, not to say it would be like make me feel better, or it's now just curiosity, just wanting to know why. Why would someone do that? Yeah. If I had bumped into him maybe a year or two after it happened, I would have killed him. I don't think I would have even asked him any questions. But now, if at all I'll ever get an opportunity to ask him anything, it'll just be why.
And I guess you just hope that he has the decency to tell you why.
Yeah.
Wow, man, this situation caught me off guard completely. I didn't expect it to be this dynamic with so many other parties involved, because I'm pretty sure the other girl has got the same question that you have. And the only person in this who has some form of closure-ish is the girl who knew that he was going to Zimbabwe.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess because then, not knowing if, because I never also, like I said, like I totally refused to be friends with her.
Yeah.
Not knowing whether her knowing that he had gone to Zimbabwe was a matter of goodbye, I'm going to Zimbabwe, or whether it was, hey, family, where is this guy that I'm looking for, and hearing that he's gone to Zimbabwe.
Oh, I see.
So not sure how much of, information that she had.
So she could easily be in the same boat with all three of you.
She could be in the same boat. She could be in a better position, but she could be in the same boat.
You see, now this lesson that you spoke about at the beginning makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
That if anybody is being secretive about something, those are red flags. Query it to the core. And if stuff is not adding up, just leave it alone.
Yes.
Wow.
Definitely.
So just as we're wrapping this up, for the relationships that you had after that, did anybody come across and try and be very private again?
Yep.
And what was your reaction? What did you do and say?
That one, I turned into an FBI. I'm not going to lie to you. Within 3 months of dating that person, I already knew the whys to why the relationship was meant to be private.
Okay.
And I then presented the information to him, to which he was horrified. It was a lot better now because of technology.
Yeah.
So you could easily Google someone up, and Facebook, Instagram, turn all FBI on all social media platforms.
Yeah.
Dig out information. And I just literally had to go and tell him to say, this is why you wanted the relationship to be private.
And he had nothing to say.
I'm walking away now. And he had to say. And, on this one, I walked away happily because I was like, I can be karma in your life. You better be nice to me.
Yeah.
Because I will come back and use all this information against you.
Oh, well done, you. You definitely sound a lot stronger. And certainly a lot wiser in terms of...
a bit wiser, yeah.
Guys, when they come up with that sort of approach. So for those who are listening to this episode of the Lockdown podcast, one critical lesson has come out. If you have a guy or you have a girl who is choosing to be anonymous and private about what is special to you, query that, because those are red flags that could potentially mean that there's somebody else involved. Well, you've been listening to a lockdown episode of The Feeling Station. I'm your host, Tinto, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Remember, stay home, stay safe. Peace.
Tell me what you're feeling.
Satis on Daru Raini and Chagizai.
Tell me what you're feeling. Now that it's over.
Satis on Daru Raini and Chagizai.
Let me talk about my feelings. Let me talk about my feelings, yeah.
Urudoi motoru noto kujidziru amai.
Kujidziru amai. Love is a fire.
Urudoi motoru noto kujidziru amai.